You heard the lady. Strengthen these defenses and prepare for attack.
So straight out of the gate with the Egyptian campaign, we've got a bit of a cheeky for you guys. So rather than just using the initial villager to uncover the artifact, which takes around about 22 minutes, we're actually going to move all of our villagers onto excavation, which basically reduces the mission timer to about 9 or 10 minutes. This also has an interesting impact in the difficulty and the challenge of this mission, kind of taking it from being what can sometimes be a bit of a tricky mission into a bit of a tutorial. The main reason is that the enemy just doesn't have time to build up their forces and their attacks, so we end up just taking loads of small battles and small engagements, which is honestly pretty straightforward. The only challenging part is that they will try and pull us out of position with their rotation of attacks. But so long as we don't actively go and hunt down the enemy troops, we should be fine. We can also build a pair of barracks to upgrade the boys and reinforce our numbers with what little resources we have. As far as unit composition goes, we want to be focusing our efforts on axemen and slingers, since they are easily the best units we can build in this mission. Spearmen just aren't it, honestly. They have very low health pools and they really don't do much damage to infantry.
Here they come!
We do also have a shifting sands to utilise for this mission, which is super handy to get around the map, especially as the enemy tends to favour attacking in opposite sides, which is good at pulling us out of position. Doesn't really matter if the watchtowers die, their only job here is to slow down the enemy pushes enough so that we can rotate the boys over.
The relic is becoming uncovered.
The fact that we're already 25% through this mission is kind of funny. I do love a cheeky. So this next part can be a little bit intense. The enemy sends about 3 or 4 attacks in very quick succession, and they're all on various different locations of the map, which is why we want to be sitting kind of in our base and waiting for the enemy troops to come to us for the most part, since it will make our rotations far easier than if we're trying to hunt them down.
Greek, you refer in which you
So the enemy's starting to send more and more troops now as the pressure's starting to ramp up. They'll start to send troops to all different locations on all 3 lanes. I mean, this is technically a tower defense mission, ironically. But using this method just cuts out a lot of the faffing around, shall we say. I believe the technical correct method of dealing with this mission in a traditional sense is to have 1 hero and an army at each of those 3 choke points, and then defend all 3 lanes at the same time, essentially. But this is more fun. Just want to make sure that we don't lose our troops unnecessarily to the catapults. So for this particular strategy, these next few fights are going to be the most challenging. In particular, the southern fight against the Son of Osiris is easily the biggest threat on the board, especially for this particular strategy. We do want to be careful here against the catapults so that they don't get easy targets against our slingers. But for the most part, this one should be pretty straightforward. We will need to shifting sands to the bottom location of the map to take out the Son of Osiris, since the middle wave and the bottom wave are going to arrive at a pretty similar time. The middle wave, however, is not a threat at all, but the Son of Osiris is, so that's where we need to focus our efforts. We do also want to be careful not to transfer only half of our troops, and we also want to be mindful not to teleport too close to the Son of Osiris, since he will muller our troops as soon as they reappear. So we want to be utilising our heroes to target down the Son of Osiris, and the rest of our troops to focus on the enemies. Fortunately, the Son of Osiris does struggle against our heroes, but he will make very short work of our troops. So despite making only a handful of troops, we should still have a reasonable army remaining, as well as our heroes, and about 2 minutes left to uncover the relic.
Into you.
Roshish ne. Pani. Ex malista. Etimos. Ne volume. Malista. Esto. Ne. Esto. Malista. Etimo. Et Pani. Malista. Ne volume. Ne malista. Neje fan esto. Ne. Mat ne. Etos tagma. Esto.
And just like that, this mission is donezoed. GG's, boys.
The Oasis village near here is loyal to the Dark God Set. They enslave other local villagers to mine gold for Kemsit.
You know, the more I play this mission, the more I appreciate just how good and well balanced this mission actually is. Like, it has a good level of challenge throughout. The first part, we just need to lure some of the slingers away. It's relatively straightforward. We just want to make sure that we're pulling these slingers away from the patrol, so we're not taking two fights at once. The patrol is actually the hardest challenge of this first part. But once these guys are taken care of, we can literally start luring them in. And the trick is not to let the Anubites jump on our ranged troops, and let the heroes tank for the most part. I mean, the best part about the heroes tanking is even if they do go down, you can just resurrect them anyway.
Leje, Roshishani, Etimos,
Bow, bow. Battle out.
Ostagma, Oro,
Starting off with a banger.
Leje Malfulume,
I find it way easier to have heroes and units in separate control groups, especially for this part because we need so much more control. But you really want mostly just the heroes doing all the work against the Anubites. If the Anubites start jumping into our backline, that's when we have a problem. Like, they absolutely just free-shot most of our slingers and chariots.
Leje, Pani Fulume, Rosne, Halos, Esto,
Free at last! Please guide us safely home, and we will offer you what help we can.
So from here we literally only want to take the 5 workers that we need for the objective. The other 4 or 5 villagers can mine gold,
Esto,
or at least be in position to mine gold once
Halos, Oro,
we are able to.
Leje,
Again, we want to be using the heroes as much as possible, and we don't want to pick up that relic since another bunch of mummies will spawn.
Pani,
We'll send Chiron to pick that up later.
Esto, Pani, Ne,
You also want to try and trigger the serpent god
Curse
power.
the gods! Serpents!
Annoyingly, I also had trouble trying to get the mummies to spawn as well.
Malis,
Normally they spawn far easier than this, but
Pan Fulume,
incidentally, I actually thought that once the Serpent God power ends, like Ancestors, the units disappear. That's actually not the case. It was an oversight on my part that I didn't actually realise that the units that are summoned by serpents is actually a permanent thing. I mean, they're not very strong anyway, so it doesn't really matter, but just a funny little nuance that I hadn't considered before.
Leje, Pani,
Oh, great tunes back to back. Let's go. Bow, now, 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 now.
Rosta, Est Mal, Pani, Ne, Pani, Est
Bow, now, 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 now.
Pani,
No, 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 no.
Roshishe, Ne, Est Fucking,
At least we got the good music in the downtime, the slower portion of this mission. So now we can send Chiron to pick up the relic. And even when the mummies spawn, it's not going to affect us at all because we don't need to come back this way again.
Look, our men have returned.
Thank you, strangers. Kemsit forced us from our home, the sacred city of the Guardian. We will join you to defeat him.
The only reason that would be a problem, by the way, is if you were planning to do Market Eco.
Kemsit's army is returning to the city. Only the neighboring villages stand in his way.
So mostly just doing eco bobbins at the moment.
Bring the sword to the sleeping Guardian before his army reaches it.
And our starting villagers that we sent over, we want to build walls and a couple of sentry towers. I know sentry towers can be a little bit expensive, but I find they are really, really helpful for defense. And we can also garrison our villagers in them as well, should any Anubites jump over the wall and start harassing our vills. First thing we kind of want to do is power up to the next stage. Obviously, aside from actually building the walls itself.
Rosh, Man Fulume, Etimos, Maestro,
Bow, now, 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 now. By the way, that tree is a good little anchor point for
Army has reached
walls.
the first village.
We'll need a strong force to escort the sword bearers to the Guardian.
It is also worth noting there is a hole behind the trees that I didn't actually wall off in this particular instance, but it is worth walling off as well, otherwise the enemies will just walk around that tree. If we start building walls any further forward, by the way, we will start getting attacked by the enemy sentry towers. So this is pretty much as far out as we can build these walls as we physically can. Once we build the second sentry tower on the low ground, we do want to garrison our vills inside, because that kind of, in terms of timing, that'll be when the enemy's first wave attacks. And if our vills are outside the wall or outside the sentry towers, they will be targeted down by the enemy Anubites. And at this stage of the game, we don't have enough priests to really kill the Anubites before the Anubites kill our villagers. Especially with the poison upgrade that they have. So really, they can pretty much 1 or 2 tap our vills with the poison. Now eventually we'll want to build a village on our secondary gold mine. However, we need to hit age 2 first, which is why we're powering to age 2 so quickly. Because we want to build that TC so we can start villager production ASAP Rocky.
In which you
So this is the gap in the trees that I was talking about earlier, where the enemies can just waltz through. Purely an oversight on my part, I didn't realise there was actually a gap between the tree and the cliff. It actually is hard to see, but it is there. Why my neighbour has decided to build the wall on the outside, I'll never know. Seems wild to me. It's almost like they don't value their own lives. We do also want to power up housing and monument production as well at this point. I always find rebuilding walls that have actually been fully destroyed really awkward in this game. I almost feel like it should latch on to an existing wall. Sometimes I find it's easy just to destroy the wall and start again, quite frankly, but that obviously comes with its own risks. Grabbing wall upgrades is also highly recommended, especially since these wooden ones don't really stand much of a chance against the enemy attacks. Especially the later attacks. It is also potentially worth picking up the crushing damage upgrade on the TC as well, to further enhance the wall's defense. Dropping the rain god power is also good for powering up our food eco. So aging up with Bast is definitely recommended for a more traditional run. The reason being is the economy upgrades are just so useful in this game. I mean, any economy upgrade is useful. More resources, more production, more units. So one thing that's worth doing is building statues that kind of cover multiple areas of our base, especially as we can use both pharaohs and priests to empower them. Building a second layer of walls is well recommended, especially if we can leave the gap wide enough that we can build a stronghold in between them. And we will want to do it for the high ground wall as well.
Enito. And Ayuretayo. Greek UIR.
Into you. In which? In which?
And we do also want to think about aging up, so a marketplace and an armory is next on the menu.
Enito. And Dayo.
Rig, EU repair. Kids.
Gerek. Into you. Kid. Bea. In which? Into you. Kid.
And you?
Greek.
Be nice if I could select the wall.
Greek. UIR. And Dayo.
Into you. EU.
Ayuretayo. UIR.
Into you.
It's actually worth building Farm Eco a lot faster than I did. I was a little bit slow on this one, but we are going to need a lot of food to produce the number of troops we need to break down the front door.
Greek. Dayo.
Rig.
And Ayuretayo.
Into you.
Enito. Enough. Baya.
So we're going to buy our age up so that we can grab Sobek. Sobek is just the better choice here, in my opinion. I mean, pet Sobeks are so damn good.
Rig.
Plus, we really do have a need for ranged troops in this mission. And pet Sobeks are the best range units we can build. At least when it comes to destroying buildings, anyway.
Kemsit's army is pillaging the second village.
Greek. Ayuretayo.
Into you.
In which? Tayo. Baya.
Enito. Dayo. Greek. UIR. Ayuretayo. Ayuretayo. Dayo.
Down, 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 down. Down, down. Down, 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 down.
Rig. UIR. Baya.
Into you.
And which
In wedge. Into you. In you.
So Stronghold's next on the menu, although that one now is actually misplaced. We want to build them between our walls, but we also don't want a body block, which is why I deleted that particular one, because it was
EU refer. King.
in the path, and I think our siege equipment would have struggled to get through.
King.
I mean, granted, you can garrison and ungarrison, but it's a lot of messing around.
King.
If you misplace, it's just better to delete and replace, in my opinion.
Ottimo, volume.
We do need a couple more workers on wood, since we're going to need a decent amount of chariot archers, upgrades, and siege equipment as well.
Into you.
We do want to be careful not to over build troops, as the upgrades are, in my opinion, more important at this stage of the game.
Inito.
Unfortunately, I didn't really have anywhere good to place my third stronghold, not without it getting in the way anyway. So in the end, I had to place it at the back of my base. Not really ideal. I'd rather have had it on the front lines, but it is what it is. So once we max out, we can pretty much start knocking on the front door of the enemy. Ideally, I think we want to be pushing on the low ground, since there's more surface area to play around. But I think either approach is fine, honestly. I guess you could argue the narrower choke point is actually a better place for us to fight, but I think that just comes down to preference, honestly. I quite like having the extra room to play around. And Avengers really are the problem. I actually dropped the ball on this one and managed to let the Avengers come in and just absolutely massacre my ranged units. Rather unfortunate, but to be fair, at this point we have got quite the production. And we're pretty much maxed out on upgrades as well, so the one thing holding us back on our production is food, so we need to build some more farms to support that. But gold is actually probably a bit too good, as is wood, honestly. Either way, we managed to push back the enemy attack, and now we are in prime position to start attacking the enemy again. You just got to be careful of the Avengers. They are the one major threat this mission. Thing is, once we hit a critical mass of priests and pet Sobex, the enemy really isn't going to be able to do much to stop us. Arguably, you could stop building camel riders at this point as well and actually transition to pure elephant. Probably would be a better option, since the camel riders at this point don't really add a huge amount of value. To be honest, they're pretty heavily countered by everything the enemy uses, with the exception of the chariot archers, but actually trying to get to the chariot archers is going to be a pretty challenging feat for the camel riders. To be fair, now we've got a couple of siege towers, we should be able to break through the enemy. They really don't have a huge amount of production, and once the stronghold goes down, all of their, dare I say, strong units pretty much cease being produced, with the exception of the temple units, which are the other issue. But to be fair, with this many priests and pet Sobex, they really don't have any way of producing a counter to us. Not in the numbers they need, anyway.
Protect the sword bearers.
I do like that the second mission is literally a tug of war, though. Like, these are the types of games I genuinely enjoy. Like a nice big tug of war macro mission. Building a forward base here just to anchor our attack is also pretty decent. It's a pretty strong move. Oh, there it is! Le Ballad of Ace Le Baron, let's go! Wait, what? What are you doing, game? Bring back my track right now! God damn it! I was just literally about to say we've had the 4 best tracks in this game, and they've just done me like this. Oh man, no, I'm not having that. You bring back the ballad. Well, that is unbelievably vexing and rude. I cannot believe they just did me like that. Screw you, game. I'm actually miffed. That's more vexing than this goddamn mission. Ay, ay, ay. Well, at least the mission's pretty much over. Stronghold's about to get wiped from existence, and then we can send the sword bearer up to capture the Guardian, and then this mission is donezoed. At least this version, anyway. And that's pretty much all she wrote for this mission, boys. Well, at least for the traditional version anyway. I do have a cheeky to share with you after, so don't be going anywhere, like my track. Pet Sobex once again proving they are the go-to units for Egypt.
The Guardian awakes. Prostagma oro.
This statue thing better swing a mean sword, that's all I have to say.
Man, why couldn't we just take this Guardian with us? We could literally end the entire campaign instead of faffing around. This guy is like the ultimate goated unit. He's like the Titan Kronos wishes he could be. I mean, look at this. This guy is one-tapping 3 people at once. The AoE death slap. GG.
The Osiris piece is ours now, fools.
Alright, so this mission is actually pretty simple, honestly. At least it is when you know what you're doing. And a lot of it honestly just comes down to speed and timing. Both of god powers and of unit movement. So you want to move a load of villagers from food over to gold, since we're going to need gold a lot more than we need food. Plus our food reserves are actually in really strong position. Basically want to be focusing on fast moving units as well as priests, since we are going to need them for the second phase of this mission, which is the ambush. We can also reallocate our resources as required. So the trick here is to use Ancestors and then Serpent's God Power in conjunction with each other to capture the Osiris piece.
Get the Osiris piece to the city.
Once the Osiris piece has been captured, we can literally escort it all the way back to our base. And so long as there is one unit within its vicinity, then the Osiris piece will never get flipped to the other side. We can then use our starting troops to push back the enemy troops, and if nothing else, keep them busy whilst our reinforcements arrive. And because we have the advantage in terms of rally points, we do have the quite a major advantage. I think it's fair to say that our troops are just better than theirs. Camel riders and chariot archers just kind of win out here. So even though they have the advantage when it comes to numbers, they don't have the unit advantage. And we can continue to produce troops as we capture the Osiris piece and move it into position just ahead of the choke point.
Into you. Manni. Ne. Estulume. Panni.
At this point, we're just doubling down on priest production since we already have a decent sized army. What we need are priests to take care of the enemy Rox and Phoenix once we trigger this ambush.
Into you. In which you go into you.
You refer. You refer.
It's actually worth noting that this mission traditionally is split into 4 distinct zones, which I'll mark on the map. But essentially the green zone is the safe zone. Once the Osiris piece makes it here, we are in full control of the mission. It's very difficult for the enemy to wrest control of it back from us. The yellow zone is kind of our advantage because our rally points are closer than the enemies. The orange zone is where the enemy has the advantage on us since their rally points or their spawn points are much closer than ours. And then the red point is kind of like the area of no return. Unless you are already having a full army in position or it's quite early on in the game, there's pretty much no way of actually recovering the relic past this point. But yeah, that's kind of how I would define this mission in a more traditional sense, but this strategy is kind of like a beat all scenario. There is no way for the enemy to recapture at this point. And to be fair, we don't even need to win. The irony is we only actually need to beat the ambush. All we need to do is keep the enemies busy so that at least one unit is alive and escorting the Osiris cart back to the base.
Move the piece inside the city gates. It is our only chance.
From here we want to target the rocks so that they don't offload their troops. Or at least limit how many troops they do offload. But with this many troops and still rallies coming through, full build, literally 7 minutes, this mission is done. A very easy and straightforward method to conquer this map. A map that can traditionally be quite tricky if you take too long to capture the Osiris piece straight off the bat. And that truly is the challenge of this mission. So long as you can capture the Osiris piece in good time, this mission is very much this straightforward. Choo-choos. Easy, bruv.
The Atlantean and his men have been taken to the prison. Your allies recommend a diversion, so you can slip in and rescue him.
Isis smiles upon you, Amanra. Go to nearby monuments to claim them for your cause.
This monument grants us additional favor. Isis has granted us a temple.
Grabbing the temples here simply serves as a distraction, and this is honestly one of the silliest strats you'll probably ever see. It's naughty, very naughty. You can grab the second temple here as well. And we pretty much just want to make our way to the wall, and then manually use Amanra's leap ability to get over it.
Kemsit's soldiers block access to the docks. If they retreated to defend the Migdal, your path would be easier.
So the easiest thing to do here is to target the wall and then jump into the empty space and the sand. This part can be a little bit finicky at times.
Amanra, we have prepared a transport. Use it to infiltrate the prison.
So this is the challenging part of this strategy. I would highly recommend doing a quick save once you've obtained the fleet, for the simple fact that this is quite technical and there is an element of RNG here. The challenge is there's a load of boats between here and the islands. So what we need to do is pull the enemy ships out of position. Mostly so that our transport ship can actually get through the gap in this narrow choke point. And then we want to drop Ancestors God Power to distract the enemy boats. And that should buy us enough time and enough of a distraction to allow Amanra to disembark.
Free them. We must escape this city.
And that's it, GG. Easy, bruv.
The transports have arrived. We must flee to our allies' area of the city.
So for the sneaky version of this mission, all we're doing is sending the whole army to our village so we can pick up the boys. By the boys, I mean the pharaoh and the villagers. Meanwhile, our sea turtle and ships are going to be grouping up with the ramming ships and the other sea turtle. And then we're just going to cause a little bit of chaos on the enemy island, distract some enemies, destroy some ships, that kind of thing.
We have meager resources, but we know this city well. We will help you recover the Osiris piece from Kempsey.
So I want these guys, the Pharaoh and Setna, in separate hotkeys, since I'm going to be using them to heal. And it's easier to have them on a separate control group. Waste some time messing around with the buggy transports.
Kemsit moves this Osiris piece around the city to keep it safe. It will move again soon.
Wedge. Into. Go.
Those towers guard the Osiris piece. Destroy them all.
So we just want to utilize our ships and sea turtles to cause a distraction in the enemy's base, so that our troops can land pretty much uncontested for the most part. These boats, if they're not pulled out of position, can cause quite a bit of damage to our troops and sometimes make this strategy fail. Which is why we are sending the sea turtle in first on this side, just to sort of keep the enemy ships occupied. The actual ground troops the enemy has at this stage of the game are pretty weak. Now, for the most part, we kind of want to ignore the enemy. Our goal here is to get these laborers into position.
Get the Osiris piece out of the city. We must fight our way through the south gate.
And we want to build a strategically placed barracks and marketplace. And then place our troops pretty much at this exact location to avoid all of the aggro from the enemies. And then use our Pharaoh and Setna to heal the boys. We're also going to top up the squad with a couple of axemen. And then build a marketplace so that we can trade resources. And I want our heroes to tank, not our myth units. Not sure what is going on with our Cantos. Just refusing to follow orders. So now that we've broken through the front door, we can send the Osiris piece over to the marketplace and barracks, ready for the next part of this sneaky strat. But we're basically just healing up the squad in the downtime whilst building up a couple more axemen. You need to make a little bit of a risky play by walking past a village centre, so the more health the boys have, the better. Ideally, everyone will be on full health. Honestly, the Vengers are kind of the crux of this strat working, even though it is arguably the heroes that are doing most of the heavy lifting. The Avengers are adding a lot of DPS to both units and structures. Oh, it looks like our Osiris piece is stuck between the gold mine and the barracks, so we might need to destroy the barracks in order to free him. In fact, I think we have no other choice. So ideally we want to grab all of the units together, for the simple fact that the Osiris piece is a lot slower than our troops. So if we send the Osiris piece and the units together in one control group, they'll all walk at the same pace. Otherwise we run the risk of our troops getting too far ahead of the Osiris cart and then it getting captured by the village centre. And if that happens, this strat really kind of falls apart. But once we get to this position, we can literally take out this one wall and pretty much end this mission. We can also build a racks here. There is a spot where we can finish off creating some more axemen should we need to.
Perhaps if we were to destroy the lighthouse, the pirates would not be able to sail into the bay.
Oh, the irony of how little that matters with a strat like this. It's literally chalk and cheese compared to the previous version I showcased. The irony is we can actually get to the flag on the outside of the enemy wall. So we're literally using the enemy's wall to protect our cart. The cart has no health, so it can't be targeted anyway. So all we need to do is escort it with a couple of troops and heroes. And there's nothing the enemy can do to actually stop this strat. It's unbelievably dirty. I mean, it's light sleeper level of dirty strats, but you can also pull the enemies out of position with this Avenger. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of hilarious just how silly this strat is. The fact that we can just go on the outside of the wall and just find one weak link in the corner of the map. You said we have to meet the flag, you didn't say how I had to get there. That, my devs, is on you, not me.
Follow me, Father.
So curiously, this is one of the missions that's changed perhaps the most since I last played this campaign way back when.
You are not as other men, Father. You are favored by the gods. Get the relic to the temple.
So first things first, we want to try and manipulate the battlefield so that we only fight one Cyclops at a time. And the reason being, the second part is actually pretty tricky. So we want to maintain as much health on our Cantos as possible. Now this isn't really necessary or fully required to beat the second part, but it certainly helps. And the second part is where this mission kind of deviates the most. And it's actually really tricky now. So the goal here is to keep 2 statues alive. Now the only 2 statues we can keep alive and win is the middle and right statue. And we need to position our Gantos in a way that he can block the middle statue. And the problem is Gargarensis as a hero is way stronger than Arcantos. So we need the DPS from the 2 statues in order to 1v1 him, basically. Like, his armor and damage combo versus us is quite significant. One thing to note is that we need to stand next to the right-hand statue in order for Gargarensis to target Arcantos. If Gargarensis targets the statue, then we won't be able to kill him in time.
The trials you face strengthen you. Continue the journey before you, Father.
Not to mention the fact that we need to cast Lightning Bolt almost immediately on one of the Cyclops. As for this part, it's basically free.
Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades did battle with the Titans in a great war. Kronos and the Titans were imprisoned in Tartarus, the deepest part of the underworld. Zeus came to rule over all the heavens. Poseidon envies his brother's domain and wishes it for himself. Kronos knows this and tempts Poseidon with promises of power if he is released.
Poseidon? No.
Yes, there are several places where one can enter Tartarus, but Zeus sealed them all with adamantine doors. These can only be opened by a mortal's hands, Gargarensis.
The gate. That's what we saw when we entered Erebus in Greece.
Yes. Gargarensis believes that if he helps the Titans return, Poseidon and Kronos will make him immortal as a reward.
Destroy this landslide to escape the underworld.
I love Arcantus' disbelief that Poseidon could ever put a foot wrong. It's like a god's telling you, dude. Just accept it. Poseidon's betrayed your brother. Anyway, this is a pretty straightforward phase. We want to target Theris with our heroes, and then focus down the Avengers and the other myth units with our priests. In fact, our priests plus heroes are going to be doing 90% of the heavy lifting this mission.
That looked like Theris. It has been a long time since you sent him to the underworld, Arcantos. Fighting old battles again?
Fighting old battles again, eh? So next up, we want to take down the Chimeras without taking dot damage from the flames. So we'll just walk away or start a step micro as required. And then we'll use 2 catapults to take down, to trigger the first, to trigger the next part of this mission. Basically, we just need to get the boulder wall down to 9,000 HP to trigger phase 2 of this section, which leads us to the hardest battle of this segment. So we're pretty much just keeping everyone away. We're only sacrificing 2 catapults. And as soon as the Avengers spawn, we can send the boys to take care of them. They'll use up all of their abilities to take care of literally 2 catapults. We'll pop the Flaming Weapons God Power. And then we'll just sacrifice a couple of spearmen to basically tank alongside the heroes, whilst the priests sort of target them from afar. And then we can basically just send our remaining catapults to take care of the boulder wall. Once it drops below 6,000 HP, then the final wave will spawn. When it comes to the final fight, all we really need to do is position our priests and heroes in front of the catapults to take care of the scorpions. And then the rest of our army will kind of stay in reserve behind. with our shades positioned to take care of the hydras when they spawn. As soon as the troops spawn, we can drop our restoration god power, and then we'll use our shades to target down the hydras. And that is pretty much all we need to do for this part. Which leads on to part 3 or phase 3 of this mission, which is easily the hardest part of the mission in my opinion.
Into you.
Great.
Well, it depends which way you decide to tackle it. So we have the easy option, which is the sneaky, which I'll showcase first. And then we have the more traditional or honourable approach, which is far more tricky and a lot more technical. But we'll be showcasing both options, starting with the sneaky, mostly on account that it is the more standard way to approach this one. And it's certainly the easier option of the two.
Father, we must escape.
Your enemy lies across the sea, Father. Your fleet awaits.
We've got to establish a base on the far shore as quickly as possible.
So for this sneaky strat, we simply swap caster and Arcantos for the villagers and the minotaurs. Although we do have to funny around with this stupid transport. Honestly, I just hate this stupid goddamn bug. It is actually ridiculous. But anywho, once we've actually fixed that little issue, we send the ships plus our 2 transports off to where the Plenty Vault would otherwise spawn. Meanwhile, we're going to send our Castos, the casting Archon. We're going to send our Cantos and Caster off to the main island, and the reason being we need to capture the settlement in order to end this scenario. So we're going to have them in position and just wait.
Into you.
Meanwhile, we'll unload the transports, leading with the main boats, of course. Fortunately, unloading isn't as tricky as loading. But essentially, we're going to use the troops to basically distract the enemy whilst our villagers build a fortress and a dock. So the dock is a little bit tricky to place. Honestly, it's finicky. You have to kind of get it on its angle, and then yeah, there is like 1 or 2 spots you can get it. So we'll mess around with that for a little bit, and then finally get it down. Now we're actually going to be building a Triem, not a transport boat, for the reasons you've already seen. They're just, for some reason, Triems actually transport units the way transports should. We're also going to be building a second fortress and a marketplace. And then we're going to build a Triem. Once we've built the Triem, we can actually delete the dock, since there's the dock itself actually blocks any loading of troops. And then we're going to build a number of Petrobolos. And then with the second fortress, we're going to upgrade the Petrobolos to heavy Petrobolos. Honestly, you don't even need the second fortress, but it speeds up the process, since the heavy Petrobolos upgrade takes quite a while to research. Allows us to do both things at once. And then pretty much, yeah, we just utilize this location to hurl rocks at the Wonder. And then we just literally rotate Petrobolos as and when they spawn. We're going to be trading all of our food for wood and gold in the market so that we can pump out a few extra Petrobolos. To be truthful, that is again optional. You don't need to do that. But in the interest of min-maxing and all that.
Prostagma.
And to be fair, once we've completed the research, we can then task the second fortress to build a couple of extra patrol blocks as well. And that's pretty much all she wrote for this mission. We can then send our caster over to the settlement to enable us to end this mission. Easy, bruv.
Destroy those siege weapons!
The farmers must be weary of their island neighbor. Perhaps they will help us.
So, in my heart of hearts, I always knew there had to be at least one spot on this map that Amanra's leap ability could be abused to cheese this mission.
Hear me, people of the Nile. I am Amanra, enemy of Kemsit. Assist us, and we will end his pillaging of your lands.
We will help you visit the farmers to spread the good news, Amanra.
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Donny Boy special, the creme de la creme of sneaky strats, and it's dirty. In fact, get your showers ready because this strat is pure filth. So we only actually have to build one unit this mission, and that is the cabinet. Don't even waste your time with the transport. You'll spend the first 30 seconds faffing around trying to board Amanra. With the cabinet, it's no muss, no fuss.
These towers will help defend the harbor while you build a navy.
So, this strat is so stupidly simple, it blows my mind. It is so silly.
We should scout Kemsit's whole island before we choose our beachhead.
That's alright, Amanra. I has the power of hindsight. And I just happen to know one very sneaky spot. So if we unload on the lowest point of the cliff, we can literally just follow this one path. Takes us to a cheeky little beach house. And then from there we can do a little run and jump up to this little spot here. Right beneath the pine trees, and boom! Hello, puppets! Oh, it's so silly.
We have reached the Osiris box. Now, where is my enemy?
Like I said, pure filth.
Look, a scout. Follow him back to his camp. Perhaps they can help us.
So once upon a time, I would have called this one of the hardest missions in Retold.
Welcome to our camp, noble one. Protect us, and we shall help you fight your way to the tamarisk tree.
However, sometime between the last 9 months since I last played this mission, I must have got good, because this mission no longer challenges me in the way that it once did. Now, part of that is some of the tricks and things I've picked up along the way and learnt. Not just playing this title, but other titles as well. Walls are a massive factor in this mission. And learning how to use them in a way that dictates where the enemy attacks is such a powerful weapon. And something we'll be taking full advantage of. So first things first, we want to use Chiron to pick up a relic that gives all of our heroes extra damage versus Myth units. It's a very important relic and easily the strongest relic on this mission, at least in my opinion. We also want to send the Sphinx to the top of this enemy base and then whittle away at the walls.
Threaten our camp. Seek out and destroy these tombs in the desert, and the attacks will stop.
Bow, bow. I don't know. So I want to build our farm eco as far away from the front lines as possible, hence why we are building on the edge of the map. We're going to be utilizing our excess gold at the start of this mission to get a couple of priests. The priest will be dealing with the mummies, whilst the starting troops will deal with the old tombs themselves. Now we want to build a monument nice and quickly so that we can actually grab this upgrade, the Sacred Cats, as it increases our farm gather rate, which is quite important for this mission. We just need all the eco we can get, especially early on, and since we'll be having 2 base economy very quickly. So this base used to be out of reach for us once upon a time, since we used to get attacked here all the time. However, I figured out a way to dictate where the enemies are actually attacking us, and it's all through the use of walls, basically. So you want to be careful not to lose our troops here. Once the enemy pops ancestors, we can simply just use the priest to do all the heavy lifting. So I want to build a wall over here. The trick with the walls is to wall off everywhere you don't want the enemy to attack and then leave one entrance open. That way the enemy is pretty much forced or bottlenecked into attacking only one area, which removes a lot of the ambiguity of this mission. In my opinion, that is the part that makes this mission so challenging, is the fact that you don't know where the enemy is going to attack, and their attacks are so big as the game gets longer that it can do so much damage before you can even respond. So the first enemy attack will always come from the middle entrance, and that is the entrance we want to utilize for the entirety of this mission. To be fair, our town centre will do most of the heavy lifting here anyway, but we'll send our troops back to deal with what's left. And we'll continue powering out farms so that we can blitz out villagers. In the early game, it is all about the villager economy. The more villagers, the better. So next up, we want to wall off this area to, again, prevent the enemy from attacking us in this location. Again, this funnels the enemy into attacking us in the middle part of the map, which is where we want them to attack, because then we can focus all of our efforts on defense in that one position. Okay, next up, we want to build a village center here, and then we're going to double down on gold. This will also become the site of our second farm economy later on, and then we want to use this Sphinx to take down the temple for free, basically. Next on the agenda is the second old tomb, which would leave only one, and again, because of the walls, we'll basically be funneling the mummy attacks into the same location. The one and only path that we leave open. Once again, as soon as ancestors pop, we just let the priests do their work. Boom, boom. No. One of the main reasons we want to take care of these old tombs so quickly, aside from obviously the mummy threat, is actually that we get loads of gold out of it. Now this path here to the oasis is actually a path that the enemy will sometimes utilize to get into our backline. And they will go for our villagers and our farm economy, so we want to make sure we're walling that path off as well. It isn't the most commonly used path, but it is an option, and we just want to remove that option from the enemy. Alright, we need to prep for the next attack, but we also want to heal up the boys. Now these early game fights are probably the most challenging, for the simple fact that we don't really want to spend our resources on building troops at this stage of the game. We're really doubling down and focused on our own economy and building up village centres, walls and all that kind of thing. Also, the troops we've built, to be honest, the only thing I would even recommend other than what I've already got here is axemen. Which is why we're building a couple of barracks, just so that we can kind of pump out a few troops just to keep us stable. The enemy attacks, every attack will be stronger than the last. So there is a scaling challenge there. Now we probably did go a little bit overboard with the priests. I do love my priests and probably got a little bit carried away with them. But in this situation it's probably worth just garrisoning them in the TC to make sure they don't die, since they are very expensive on the old gold cost. We'll upgrade our axemen to heavy axemen and then pump out a few of them whilst continuing to build more farms. Build more farms! I also want to build a couple more monuments. The main reason for the monuments, aside from obviously the favour cost, is that they also could be worked by pharaohs to increase the resource generation rate and also production rate if they're in range of military buildings. So they kind of serve a dual purpose. But we also do need a lot of myth units, ideally pet Sobex, as the game progresses. Luckily, axemen do produce very quickly, so you can end up with quite a big army quite quickly, which can be super useful. They are also probably the best unit you'll get from the barracks. Even though I really don't rate barracks units at all from Egypt. They're just so weak. They're a bit like Zerg. They kind of... Their goal is to kind of swarm you with troops. We'll also grab this relic, which makes myth units cheaper, which is actually kind of useful since very soon we are going to be thinking about aging up. And myth units are absolutely going to be on the agenda then, once we hit age 3. Okay, we're also going to build a couple of sentry towers. We'll upgrade our walls. And again, we don't want to wall off that middle section. If we wall off that middle section, all the ambiguity of where the enemy attacks kind of gets reset. And then we have to try second guess where the enemy's going to attack. Or we have to have vision via like a lighthouse. And then move our troops around rather than just focusing on one location. Which in my opinion is just far easier. We're also going to want to think about building a marketplace and a armory for the next stage of this mission. So at least we have a bit of an army now. We are still pumping out axemen. Mostly because the next attack is going to be pretty savage. And we still don't have anything that really deals with the enemy well. I mean, axemen are okay, like I said, but they're a little bit like fodder, to be honest. Which isn't really what we want. We need like elephants and things. Elephants, chariot archers, pet Sobex. They're the units we want for this mission. Man, poison damage is so savage in this game. It really is. We can also wall off this section. Again, segmenting maps really is quite a big deal in this game. Like, if we could just section off entire areas that the enemies just cannot get to, it makes our lives so much easier and removes, say, a lot of the ambiguity of what the AI is actually going to do. Now, we are going to want to age up. I'm going to go with Sobek. Honestly, Sekhmet's got some good upgrades, namely the Bone Bow, but to be honest, you can't really put a price on Pet Sobeks. There's just, the amount of value you can get out of them is so massive, especially on a Tug of War mission like this. You can also stop building Axemen now. We do kind of need to start gaining some resources. So as soon as our Age 3 has been researched, we want to jump up to mid-goal strongholds. That will anchor our defense and allow us to build troops that are actually useful. Aside from priests, of course, who are always useful in this mission. Actually, I think they're just always useful, period. I think priests might actually be one of my favourite units. Straight up. They're so damn good. Our Sphinx has done his job, so we can send him back. And do a little bit of Scout Rooney on his pathing back. Before rejoining the army. Alright, we can grab our economy upgrades next. The other reason we wanted to go Sobek on this mission, by the way, is the rock. I forgot to mention it, but the rock is actually a really big part of why we want to use Sobek as a minor god. It allows us to take care of the third and final old tomb, whilst also allowing us to launch a sneak attack on one of the enemy temples, thus limiting their production. Although that is a task for later, because right now we need all hands on deck for defense. So we also want to start our caravan eco. Gonna delete the old market and then use the one on the far corner to link up with our second town centre. That should give us a pretty decent amount of gold. I believe it's somewhere in the 90s mark. So I need to make a correction. I think earlier I said upgrading to heavy axemen. I believe we only actually upgraded to medium axemen. We do need to cancel that, unfortunately, since the enemy will blitz through it. I was a bit late on aging up, and the enemy definitely punished me for doing that. I think in hindsight, if I was to do this mission again, I would have a little bit more focus on aging up and army. And obviously getting those mid-goal strongholds down sooner rather than later is quite a big deal. Alright, next up we want to focus on wood eco, since wood is in a pretty bad spot at the moment. To be honest, wood's a really tricky resource in this mission because there aren't many places to even gather wood. And even when there are, it's only like small numbers of trees rather than a massive clump. Which means we're constantly having to relocate our workers. And it's not like we can plant trees either. Well, that would be pretty cool. Well, that's more of a settler's mechanic than it is a Age of. Oh, it's 139 gold per trip. That's wild. Even more reason to double down on caravan eco. But yeah, we are pretty much on the last of our gold now. Those 2 gold mines that we have in the bottom left and top right are pretty much the last pieces of gold we're going to get. When it comes to aging up to the Mythic Age, I would definitely pick Osiris here. He's just so much more impactful than Horus. Don't get me wrong, Horus is good. Avengers are great. But let's be real, Son of Osiris gets so much more value throughout an entire game like this than a single tornado. And because we're going to be pumping out Pet Sobex, we're not going to have enough favor to recast tornadoes, so it's literally a one and done. Don't get me wrong, we could take an impactful engagement, but I just don't think it holds a candle to what the Son of Osiris can do over the course of a game. Like, that value is just way too good. Unfortunately, this is just not a pretty fight. I think this really showcases just how aggressive the enemy is and how strong their attacks are. Even when we know where the enemy's going to strike us, it's still a difficult task in actually beating them. However, we are going to relocate some labourers so that we can actually power up our mid-goal strongholds. We need them ASAP Rocky, and not only for defense, but we need to be able to build elephants and chariot archers now. The enemy literally denying that a couple of times has really hampered my ability to build an army worthy of Mordor. So we're going to grab our upgrades and then sell some of our excess food for gold. But we are soon going to have a pretty wild economy with caravans. In fact, I'm going to build a couple more markets so that we can get more caravans out. We are going to need a lot of gold in order to break the enemy's defenses. Definitely should have popped rain earlier, that's for sure, but... we do also want to think about siege workshops next. when we can afford to. Catapults are insane in this game. A unit that I've actually slept on in the past as well. I don't think I've ever truly appreciated just how strong these catapults are. Or just siege units in general, actually. I think I've kind of slept on in the past. You see how we have to constantly keep switching location in order to grab wood. It is a bit of a pain. Alright, so we've got 3 temples to pump out Pet Sobex now. I want to grab these upgrades. There's a very good probability that we will lose this mid-goal stronghold. So we want to turn our boy into the Son of Osiris. I was a bit slow on pulling the vills here, unfortunately. We'll literally just rebuild as soon as we have the resources to do so. Also want to grab our economy upgrade, sell some more food. I'm actually going to stop building axemen at this point as well, since they are blitzing through my coffers. You can actually build a lighthouse to give us some vision as well. Like building it up on that high ground, that little cliff up here, is actually a pretty good option. That's something I'm going to be utilizing once our stronghold's been built, and then build another wall to protect it. So we are kind of remaining a little bit defensive in our posture right now, but we are going to be building some catapults, and once we've got a couple of heavy catapults, we can start pushing into the enemy. We're also going to be wanting to load up our rocks with some troops once we have enough to defend the next attack that's coming for us. Still got quite a lot of upgrades to go. And camel riders are actually pretty good on this map, in my opinion, for the simple fact the enemy loves their priests. And they also love their elephants, both of which camel riders deal with pretty well. Boom, ba-dum, bum, ba-dum. The use of bass guitar in this game is actually pretty phenomenal. So when it comes to these 21 villages, I don't really have anything to use them on. So I'm actually just going to delete them. And then we'll use that supply for troops and caravans. So we're currently rallying our troops to our rocks so that we can create a bit of a task force to strike at the enemy, well, the final old tomb, and also the enemy temple in the south of the map. Alright, I believe we're pretty much at a point now where the tables have turned and we can start turning our defense into offense. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. So just waiting for a final few troops. I don't want to skimp on this attack.
Greek. Are you
Bow, bow, ba-da, ba-da, ba-down. Alright, cool. Now we can double down on defense. Just got to find wood wherever we can. Seems to be the one resource that we are lacking. I mean, gold. We've got 20 caravans, so gold is actually pretty good. Even though right now I might not have the most amount of gold, I sure as hell soon will. Actually, I don't really need to load that. I can unload again real quick. Down. A bit of a pig's ear of that. I think I might have used the wrong hotkey there. Whoops. Let's back it up, boys. Alright, let's go ahead and put these pharaohs on monument duty. That wasn't a very pretty fight, to be fair, but what we'll do is we'll group these boys up and then we'll take down the temple next. A little cheeky little sneak attack. And we'll finally start our catapult production. It's a shame that rocks are completely unresponsive once they're doing their animations. Like, you can't even shift click them to follow orders. Bit unfortunate, really, that the enemy had 2 scarabs. That's it's going to be painful. We might clear up, but it's going to cost us a lot of troops. Also, kind of surprising that they actually send troops to defend this. They don't normally do that. Unfortunately, our little backstab didn't quite go to plan, but it is what it is, and we'll focus on the front. Luckily, we managed to get quite a few priests to survive. And priests are pretty much ideal, considering pretty much the only thing the enemies are creating at this point are myth units. And the other benefit of having loads of priests is we can heal the boys. I mean, if nothing else, this is quite the distraction for the enemy to deal with. I mean, it achieves its goal of preventing the enemies from reinforcing with more myth units. Or as many myth units, I should say. Even if it wasn't in the way I'd kind of expected. The plan was to actually fully destroy the temple, but... I mean, just killing the enemies as they spawn is also not bad. Now these catbots are getting a bit ahead of themselves. So next up we want to secure the tamarisk tree. Basically just using the catapults to take care of the enemy fortifications, whilst the troops basically just parry whatever comes our way. So the Locust Swarm, whilst it's not a great spell, it does actually do quite a bit of damage to the enemy backline. But to be fair, at this point we've got so much production and we're like constantly maxed, so anything we lose we're basically replacing. And our resource economy is pretty nuts. I mean, 32 caravans on this mission is it's a bit wild. Basically, it's infinite gold. The only resource we're going to have issues with is wood, but fortunately most of our units require gold and food anyway. The only unit that doesn't really is chariot archers that we're actually building, and the catapults themselves. Actually, completely forgot to get the caravan upgrades. My bad. That would have been useful about 10 minutes ago. Never mind. To think our gold eco could have been even better. So we're going to send the boys over to build ourselves some strongholds, anchor this location. I mean, it's a bit overkill, but it's it does help with the enemy attacks. I think our priest has stood on the foundation, so we can't actually build it. How annoying. There we go. Well, these guys still picking away at that temple. Be good to free them and add them to the army, to be honest. Alright, now that we've anchored our position, we can literally take care of the tamarisk tree itself. And also build a settlement over here, or a TC. Ah, right as the next enemy attack hits. Lovely. Alright, send the boys back. We'll let the catapults deal with the defences. I guess the other advantage of having those strongholds there is that we can protect the boys.
Into you.
We'll drop another locust swarm. I mean, to be fair, at this point the enemy stands no chance. We've got this one in the bag, boys. And there we have it, folks. A rather straightforward strategy to take care of this mission. GG.
Kamos's base is heavily fortified. If we capture some of his ships, we could sail in undetected.
Alright then, boysies, we've got some pretty fun strats for this particular mission. In fact, we've got 3 strategies to share with you guys. Starting with the more traditional run. But either way, the start always kind of goes exactly the same. Ultimately, we want to use Ajax and our Cantos to do most of the heavy lifting in this first part of the mission. The main goal here is preserving our troops, so utilizing the wombo combo that is our Ajax is, generally speaking, a pretty sound strat for this one. Essentially, Ajax can one-shot the elephants with his ability, which we'll be using pretty much on cooldown. And then our Cantos is pretty much doing a lot of the tanking. And then we can utilize the boys as and when required. We definitely want to be careful and mindful of the Sphinx. They are going to be used quite heavily later on in this mission, so we kind of want to preserve their HP as much as possible. We only really want to use them as and when we need to, really. I'm going to one-shot this elephant. Bam. Thank you. And then we'll do the same with the Colossi. We'll lure him away. Bow, bow, so interestingly, the Sphinx are pretty damn good at taking care of the slingers. Definitely the preferred targets for those. Again, another reason why I've got the Sphinx on a separate control group to the rest of the army. It just gives us a little bit more control over who's targeting what. But it's also optional, I guess, to an extent. So once this dot goes down, that is very much where this mission opens up and kind of turns into one of 3 types of mission. The first is to send Ajax on one boat and then take control of the relic in the north.
We will build Colossi for you. Come back when they are ready.
And this is going to be the more, let's say, traditional run, the way that the devs intended this mission to be played out, to an extent. Although there's definitely going to be some cheeky strats in here, namely with the rock.
Look at these defenses. We'd be dead men without these pirate ships.
So this relic basically reduces the cost of building workers, which, to be honest, it's not the biggest of deals, but considering I'm making a lot of workers this mission, actually does add up quite a lot and gives us a lot of extra resources for boats and
A pirate
army.
has chased us away from our homes. We will help you defeat him.
We should build up behind these trees before we attack Kamos's main base.
So first things first, we want to grab all the workers, even the ones that are working on food and woods. And we're going to build a temple super quick. We want to build a rock ASAP Rocky. I didn't realize there was a pun in there, but there is. ASAP Rocky. Yeah, we'll grab the workers and we'll maneuver them to the Colossus Island and then the island to the south of that, which also has gold and a couple of relics. Meanwhile, we will build a mining camp and then
There isn't much
wall
gold
off.
here. We'll have to push forward or go back to find more.
So this choke point is where we want to be defending.
Bring up.
We'll send all of the boys, the Pharaoh and the Priest. Load them into the rock. I've been a bit too quick on that. Now rocks are surprisingly unresponsive to commands when they're in the process of being lifted or landed. Even shift click doesn't seem to work with them. We do also want to grab a couple of fishy boats straight off the bat, and we want to get the pet Sobek upgrades. Pet Sobeks are incredible for this mission. They really do kind of deal with everything the enemy throws at us, but they are also quite expensive. But getting a couple of them early on is really helpful, especially in the defense side of things. The one challenge our pet Sobeks will have is against the priests. So we only want to drop off 3 villagers here. We're going to build a mining camp, and then we will build a TC here later on, as well as a couple of docks. But for now, it's mostly just gold production. Down, now, 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 now. So this little island here is a literal gold mine. Not only that, but we have 2 awesome relics which are well worth picking up in my opinion. So the first relic increases our worker gather rate on gold mines by 10%. And the second basically halves the gold cost for armory upgrades. Both are well worth the investment in time to grab, and will make our lives considerably easier for this mission.
Kamos's forces have detected us. The channel is no longer safe.
So that's pretty much our queue to start auto-queuing ships. We are going to want to build a village center just here by the gold mine to power up our villager production and also gold. And then we want to parry the first enemy attack by land. So it looks like these guys are stuck, which is quite funny because of my walls. But we'll take this fight, and we really want to make sure that our Sphinx survive. So we're kind of keeping them in the back, away from the fighting, since they don't really help a huge amount in this particular fight. And we need them to destroy some buildings as part of a bit of a cheeky strat to start things off. So we're going to drop off our relics. So there's a couple of buildings that we want to snipe over here, namely the temple and the barracks. It doesn't make the biggest of difference, but it certainly helps. And quite frankly, it's free for the most part. Okay, I want to make sure that our Sphinx are nice and safe. So we're going to put our Pharaoh on gold duty. So whilst our troops deal with the enemies, we will snipe those buildings. And also build a monument. Looks like we want to build a load of houses since we're approaching our pop cap. I want to grab some upgrades as well. Specifically wood, since we are going to have a huge requirement for that to build ships. And we need a lot of ships to break the enemy by sea. And in my opinion, taking control of the sea early on makes this mission far more manageable. Like, not having to deal with the enemy harassment by sea is honestly makes such a big difference. Alright, next up we want to build a pair of docks on this side. And we are starting to build up a bit of a fleet here. Now we do want to land the rock and send a couple more veers over to the gold mine directly east of our position.
Arcantos, we have a Colossus ready for you.
Again, this is kind of optional, you don't have to do this, but gold is king, and the more gold we have, the better in my opinion, so securing an extra gold mine, why not? To be fair, at this point, the Sphinx have kind of served their purpose, so it's not the end of the world if they do go down at this point. We're dropping the Locust Swarm here just to add a bit of extra DPS. Our focus really hasn't been on army production, so our forces are a little bit weak, and obviously with the shenanigans of taking care of the enemy temple and barracks, our troops have been a little bit thinned out. Continue to building up our monument count so that we can grab myth units. Again, pet Sobex are really what we want to be building to anchor our defense. Alright, now that we've got the mid-goal stronghold up and running, we can start building a couple of elephants to sort of tank the damage.
Into you.
And we can parry this next attack by sea, and then that'll be our cue to start destroying the enemy docks. You also have a Colossus that we can pick up, but these 6 villagers will go on to build a mine here. And that will really power up our gold eco for this mission. So next thing we want to do is rebuild our walls, since they've pretty much been smashed at this point. We also want to build a second mid-goal stronghold. These mid-goal strongholds add a surprising amount of DPS to our defense, and they're super tanky, so even if the enemies do manage to break through, which is very much a possibility, then they'll also act as a second defense, or a second layer of defense.
Into you.
Alright, we've got quite the navy going on here. So first things first, we want to take care of that dock whilst we continue to try and defend by land. Obviously these fights aren't exactly pretty, but the main point is we just need to defend. And we do have a Colossus that's about to join the fray, which will help our defense.
Into you.
Okay, so now that dock's down, we can group both armadas together and take care of the second and final enemy dock. Now there is an alternative way of dealing with said dock, and that is to rush up to age 4 and then drop a meteor shower on top of it. That is a viable option, but honestly the amount of cost involved kind of makes it a little less viable than this strat. Plus they'll still have a load of ships that we still need to take care of anyway, so taking the Armada approach is in my opinion the better option here.
Into you.
Okay, at this point we can pretty much stop building ships, and we can focus all of our resources now on defense by land.
Into you.
Bow down, 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 down. Bow, 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 bow. So you want to be careful with Leviathans with the flags. They are the ones that are carrying troops, and they will ferry troops to our Colossus Island. Which will be especially annoying since we have an actual outpost there. Luckily with this many ships, the Leviathans really don't stand a chance. Even if they were ferrying troops, we could just snipe them before they get to our shores. Again, another reason to go down the ship route rather than the meteor shower route. Not to mention, food is pretty poor actually at this stage of the game. So it'd be a hell of a challenge even trying to get to Mythic Age this early on in the game.
Arcantos, we have a Colossus ready for you.
Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to move these boys over to this other island. We can stop building villages there. We've actually got a pretty strong economy at 55 workers. We've taken care of all the enemy docks, so there's no more threat by sea. Now we can focus all of our efforts on land, and the land battles, as well as food and farms. Banging. Alright, so we have pretty much got to the point where our army is fairly decent and we should be able to have a pretty good time against the enemy forces now. Do want to build our last monument when we can. So next on the agenda really is going to be armory upgrades, marketplace, and aging up. One of the reasons why we want to get to Mythic Age is to be able to build siege equipment like the catapults. Catapults are unbelievably good on this mission. So the sooner we can get them, the sooner we can actually push into the enemy's base and take care of Kamos. We do also want the champion unit upgrades as well. They make a massive difference. And the enemy's already in Mythic Age, so they have the unit advantage over us right now, which means their troops are just so much more impactful than our own. I mean, champion elephants are insane in this game. So at this point we can pretty much buy some of our food that we need in order to age up. Got our mid-goal strongholds already, so we'll run with Thoth. The reason we want to run with Thoth is because of the elephant upgrade and the meteor shower. Meteor shower is just far more impactful than the Son of Osiris on this particular mission, at least in my opinion. And the reason being is we can use it to snipe down the fortress on the right hand side there. That will slow down production, and of course we've also got the economy upgrade with Thoth as well, which is well worth getting. But honestly, you could use Son of Osiris as well. I mean, it really doesn't matter that much. So to be honest, at this point, all of the hard work has already been done. This mission, we're pretty much there or thereabouts. As soon as we hit Mythic Age, we'll grab some upgrades. We'll grab our catapults, and then we'll start assaulting the enemy. We'll preemptively add our upgrades to the queue, including economy, armory, and unit upgrades. We can also stop building workers entirely now. We've got more than enough. But we do need some extra food, so we'll blitz some extra farms wherever we can. There's not really a huge amount of space to build in this mission, unfortunately. Wow, not on this island anyway. As fate would have it, the other island would technically be the better place to build a farm eco. So with a bit of luck, we'll be able to take care of the mid-goal Stronghold. Unfortunately, it looks like the enemy's got a load of units on the right-hand side there, which our ships weren't able to clean up, which means that that is probably going to save the Stronghold. A bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. It's not really the end of the world. To be honest, that is probably the least impactful fortress, since it doesn't even defend Kamos anyway.
Arcantos, we have a Colossus ready for you.
Alright, so we do want to be careful here. Whilst we are pretty much at the point where we can blitz through the enemy's base, we do also want to take favourable engagements and not just run in balls deep into enemy territory. That would rarely go well, since the enemy have a lot of defences at this stage of the game, as well as a lot of troops. But we're pretty much just protecting the catapult whilst it goes to work on the mid-goal Stronghold. Oh, it looks like our catapults are stuck, so we'll have to get rid of one of our siege workshops. Have to build another one. Oh, these guys have really gone in quite deep, huh? I mean, luckily they're doing a pretty good job, so it's not too bad. Looks like we thinned out most of the enemy troops now, which is good.
There, Kamos, get him.
So once we've leashed Kamos, we can actually lure him back to our base. Now, incidentally, the catapults do an insane amount of damage to Kamos. I didn't actually realise this at the time, but man, they hit like an absolute truck. I don't know why they do so much damage to Kamos, but they really do chunk his health down. And Kamos literally has no leash range, so he will literally follow us right to our base, and then we can use that to our advantage and literally target him down with the catapults. And that's basically GG.
A hero has fallen.
Alright, so first things first, we want to auto queue our vills. We've got two bases. Essentially want to build a dock over in the pond to the right. And then we want to secure the town centre that is just up to the north here. That'll give us some more villager production, and honestly with this mission, the quicker we can get our vills online, the better. We are going to need a lot of resources in order to defend our territory against the onslaught of enemy attacks. Now the enemy attacks are left, right, indefinitely. And we do want to break down these woods to the left here. As soon as we can take care of these woods, we can actually join our forces together. I want to build 5 fishy boats and the fishy boat upgrades, as well as a couple of Sphinx. Sphinx being good at destroying buildings, we can take down one of the enemy temples pretty much for free. And we do also want to grab this relic, which increases villager movement speed by 10%. It's actually quite a decent buff, but it's the trees we want to get rid of. As soon as we get rid of the trees, we can say join our forces together, and it'll make this mission far more manageable. You know what? This track has definitely become a track that I notice a hell of a lot more now. Like, I've always liked this track, but damn! Alright, so now we've built the TC, we want to take control of the gold mine to the north. And whilst there are a lot of gold mines on this map, there are quite a few that are inconveniently placed. And to be fair, gold will dry up very quickly in this mission, so eventually we are going to have to transition to market eco. Once we get through this gate, we can basically lure the enemies out of position and take care of this guard tower. And then we'll use the Sphinx basically to snipe the temple itself. It does reduce the amount of myth units the enemy creates, even though it's, you know, a small amount. It does help. Just makes their attacks ever so slightly less deadly. Looks like the boys are still working through the woods, still can't get through just yet. In the meantime, we'll build a couple of walls. We do need to make sure that we're protected from enemy attacks, and if nothing else, just buy time for our army to rotate between left and right. The left side base will be the first base to be attacked, and eventually we're going to want to build some mid-goal strongholds to anchor these positions. And we get the best track in the downtime. You'll love to see it. What a banger, boys! Nice. So there is another temple we can technically snipe just north of Amonra's base, but it is tricky to get to, and there's a good chance the enemy attack will occur before we break through the walls. I'm actually quite surprised just how much damage Sphinx do to buildings. It's like 30 damage per hit.
And which? Yeah. Are you kid?
So next up we want to take control of these woods down here. The main reason being there's a gold mine behind it as well as a pretty good relic we want to grab. And we do also want to start thinking about market economy now. So we'll have to build a market in our base.
In Greek, IUIR. That you repair. In and which? In Greek, UIR.
UIR. Kids. Finito. Kids.
Gonna want to prep for the next attack, which will be on the right side of our base. Gonna grab some statues so we can start favor production. And we want to get the crushing attack damage reduction upgrade from the TC. It does make a huge difference to the survivability of walls and buildings.
And you repair. Greek. Dayo.
Need a pair of temples so we can get some priests. The enemy has a fondness for myth units in this mission, so grabbing priests is definitely a requirement. So once we've parried this attack, the next attack will be on Amun-Ra's base, so we'll transition over there afterwards. But we do also want to build a mid-goal stronghold here and also prepare the walls. We're going to drop Ancestors God Power here since our army's still not that great at the moment. We are starting to get to that point where we are building up a fairly decent number of troops, but it's going to take a little while before we're fully comfortable in this mission. Since the enemy attacks are just going to keep getting stronger and stronger. So unfortunately we're not quite ready to take on the enemy base just yet. So instead we'll just transition to the other side, to Chiron's base, and then double down on defense. What we want to do is we want to get these boys to the other side of this so that they can move to the next gold mine. And a couple of sentry towers will also help in our defense. It's actually surprisingly how effective sentry towers are, since they very rarely get attacked unless there's nothing else to attack, and they just do a little bit of consistent DPS. And even if the enemy does target the sentry towers, it's a fair amount of hit points to get through. So we're going to make a start on our market eco. We do want to grab that relic. That relic will give us population cap limit increase by 4 for each TC we have. Very much worthwhile. picking up. But yeah, we are very much blitzing through our gold at the moment, which is a bit of a challenge, since there's no real easy gold mines to obtain beyond this point, except for the one to the north of Amanra's base. We have stopped villager production as well, since resources are pretty tight and I just need everything to go into military now. Plus we've got 85 villagers already, which is a very healthy economy. I think anything more than that is pretty much just overkill. Double down on food. Wood's in a pretty strong position anyway, so makes sense to move villagers from wood to food. Want to grab the granary for the upgrades. Okay, now we transition over to the other side once again, to Amanra's base. And once we've dealt with this attack, we'll actually push into the enemy base. Now we've got a decent army. So pretty much the next gold mine is going to be the last gold mine that's easily accessible for us. Beyond that, we really do need caravans for gold. We also want to think about siege, so we're going to grab a couple of siege workshops, and once we hit age 4 we can start getting some catapults, which will then signal our push into enemy territory. So we are getting about 50 gold per trip, which isn't ideal, but it's good enough. Once we get about 25 to 30 caravans, we'll have a pretty decent gold economy. Unfortunately, it's the best we can do, really, in this scenario. That's easily accessible, anyway. When it comes to aging up, whilst both options are certainly viable, once again, I think Thoth is the one to go for. Elephant upgrades, economy upgrades, and meteor shower. There's a fantastic spot for our meteor shower later on, so that in itself is the value worth choosing over the Son of Osiris, which, you know, it's awesome, but I think there's more value to be had from Thoth overall. This is where the attacks from the enemy start getting really scary, because they start including siege equipment like siege towers, and they really can cause havoc. So now that we've dealt with that army, we can actually push into enemy territory and secure our next gold mine, which we do very much need. We can also rebuild our walls. Now next up we want to build an army to actually defend the next attack, which will be coming on Chiron's base. And this is honestly where the risk-taking happens. Since we don't have an army right now to defend, our army is pretty much full-on offensive. But with our production, we should have enough to defend the enemy attack. These Phoenix are going on a bit of a jolly. Not sure why these villagers chose that path, but there we go. It is what it is. Oh, because I walled off. I see. So we're gonna have to garrison the boys, I think, on this one, since the enemy is getting dangerously close to our eco. Fortunately, most of their troops have thinned out and we've still got pretty decent production. Drop ancestors just to make sure that we win that fight, since it would take quite a while for my forces to turn around at this point. But we have secured the next gold mine, which is quite important. This was the temple I was referring to earlier, which we could technically snipe with the Sphinx, had things gone a little bit differently. Alright, next up we want to secure our new base. I'm going to grab a couple of vills to wall off. Now incidentally, there is actually a better spot to wall off, and the better spot is to wall off between these two mountains here. And then build a fortress. This also gives us quite good access into our other base. So the travel distance is much shorter from this point to this point than it is all the way around the map. So it is time to start building some catapults so that we can start thinking about attacking the enemy. And we do need to re-wall as well, since that was quite a nasty fight. Wall off, build some more strongholds, some more sentry towers in preparation for the next attack. But this will be the side that gets attacked next. And once we parry this attack, we can actually start to think about pushing into enemy territory. Now unfortunately we've pretty much exhausted most of our gold mines. This gold mine is the only one that's left now, that's in our territory. But fortunately we have transitioned already to market eco quite early on in this game. So actually we've got about 20 to 30 caravans already, which is more than enough to sustain our requirements.
Arcanthos has arrived with the last Osiris piece.
Push forward! We must make it to the pyramid!
Kids. Greg, EU repair. Kids.
Greek and Greek Enito.
Alright, since the next enemy attack is going to come from this side, and this is the side we want to attack anyway, we're actually going to pretty much just defend the next attack, and then we're going to push out on the left-hand side. Meanwhile, we do need to prep for the next attack on Amanra's base. And we can also secure another gold mine, another base in the north, now that our Cantos and Ajax have arrived. And that will also give us a third army to control.
Greek, you repair. And you dio.
Actually, moving out here was not the best idea in hindsight. Since the enemy was about to attack us anyway, we kind of just found ourselves in a awkward position. And besides, it's better to fight with the added DPS from the strongholds and sentry towers anyway. Yeah, simply a misplay, but ultimately not the end of the world. I mean, at this point, we're pretty much fully upgraded and able to go toe-to-toe with the enemy units. Meanwhile, we can have a think about doing the optional objective as well, which is to secure the fishing village in the east. So we're basically going to set a rally point to the base that's going to be attacked next, so that we can both attack and defend. Now these heavy catapults will make very short work of any enemy defences, which is awesome. And it just shows the power of just a handful of heavy catapults in your army is just insane. Now eventually we will need to reinforce our army here. But naturally the most important thing is to defend ourselves and make sure we can parry the next attack. Grab a few more vills on this side for gold mining, and then grab the Thoth upgrade. But this is where a lot of the enemy production is, so even just taking care of these military buildings will drastically reduce the number of enemies we have to deal with in defense. We do want to be a little bit careful that we don't overextend.
A hero has fallen.
But essentially, now that we're pushing into enemy territory, the enemy will have a hard time trying to attack us. So we can start to forward rally, basically, which will make pushing a hell of a lot easier as well. We do also have a lot of supply held up in villages, so we're going to reduce some of the villages that we've got, especially the ones that are idle. I mean, our economy is beyond healthy at this point anyway. I mean, with Caravan Eco as strong as it is, we've pretty much got infinite gold.
A hero has fallen.
So this is pretty much where we want to drop the meteor shower. Smash through the stronghold, as well as the walls and some of the military buildings as well. So this speeds up the Cyrus cart movement. It's worth picking up that relic, since they are incredibly slow ordinarily. So we'll focus down the temple first and then the citadel. Meanwhile, we're able to parry this attack as well while this is all going on. And once that attack's been fully parried, we can then send those troops to support the offensive. I'm going to just secure the secondary objective real quick, since that's still technically not done.
Into you.
Thank you for freeing us. We will gather food for you.
And there we have it, folks. That is pretty much this mission put to bed, to be honest. I mean, the enemy has zero chance. I don't think they've got any production left, to be honest. And what production they do have will be very limited. We've also secured an extra pair of gold mines. And we've got ourselves a nice forward base as well. So it's even easier to rally to the front lines. Our economy's pretty much in full swing. The only thing we've got a little bit of an issue with is wood, but to be honest, food and gold is what we really need as Egypt. The only thing we really need wood for is the catapults, buildings, and chariot archers. They dropped a meteor shower on me, huh? Interesting. I guess they've taken out my northern base with that. How annoying. That's limited my population cap a little bit. Not that it matters, I mean, we're pretty much done, to be honest. Just going to group up all the wagons and then this mission is done, Zode. Wow, they literally destroyed everything there with that meteor shower, huh? What a douche. These are pretty much the last buildings Red has now. These guys are neutral, as in yellow. That's it, boys. GG.
Our piece is in position.
I am in position.
I am in position.
I am in position.
Ajax! Arcantos! Help! The crew has... We're all going to die!
You won't die today. Let's find the others.
Es honey.
Ah! A villager! Don't let him get me!
Es honey.
So this mission definitely takes the prize for the strangest mission in the Fall of the Trident campaign. Possibly even all of Retold. It's certainly a strange one.
There's a village up ahead. We'll find more pigs there.
Boar. Circe will be pleased.
The boars are too fierce. Run for the tower!
So it turns out there's a pretty strong strategy here for protecting the pigs. And it is so ridiculously simple. Kind of blows my mind that I haven't considered doing it up until now. But essentially just body blocking the villagers next to the one hole in the wall is absolutely the way to go in this mission. It literally works so damn well.
Look sharp! We're nearing another village.
The boars are too fierce. Run for the tower!
Boars are too fierce! So pretty much every single time we want to hunt down the villagers. And then once they've run away, we just want to keep our paws pretty much held position in the little sort of gap in the wall. And then we can literally kill the villagers for free.
There are more enclosures nearby and more crewmen to be rescued.
It's simple and yet unbelievably effective.
Have you come to rescue us?
Yeah, if you don't want to lose pigs, this is absolutely the way to go. Oh, this is a good block. This is a good block, boys. This is what you're. This is technically the way to do it. That was flawless, even if I do say so myself. Chef's kiss. So for phase 2, we've got a very specific build order and strategy. Some could call it a bit of a cheeky.
Did you see that? We walked right past them.
That path leads to Circe's citadel. It looks well defended. Maybe we can find another way in.
So as good as Apollo's Underworld Gate is for cheesing out this mission, in my opinion, the strategy I'm about to showcase is by far the best strategy to beat this mission on Ludicrous. It is so insanely effective and easy to do. And it is faster as well than the Apollo's Underworld Gate strat. Which, don't get me wrong, is a good strat, but it's doesn't hold a candle to this one, boys. I can assure you. By the way, you don't need to keep all of your troops or pigs alive in order for this strategy to work. That was more of a... I guess you'd call it a flex. So you want to build a handful of houses. Followed by a temple. Meanwhile, we'll send the army north to take control of this village. And then we'll power up the settlement, build a second temple and a marketplace.
Greek.
Πρόσεχε, πρόσταγμα.
And you refer. You review I Dayo.
Now this is essentially a Hydra bust strat, and it is insanely effective against Cersei in a fortress, proving once again that Hydras are in fact goated units.
Έτοιμοι. Πρόσταγμα. Τέκτον. Λέγε. Τέκτον.
Finito. Greek. Tayo. And are you repair? Greek. Tayo.
Πρόσεχε. Τέκτον.
There's two reasons why we're going for the northern village, not the southern one. The first reason is because of the fishing boats, and we need food for Hydras. The second reason is that it's closer to where we want to attack. So it's just an all-round better location. But technically you could do a similar strat with the southern base. It just wouldn't be as fast. So next up we are going to clear this area whilst we wait to build our settlement and also age up. We also want to grab a couple of relics. In fact, the only relic that really matters is the Pegasus relic, which is just a bit further north. There are also a couple of pigs we can free to add a couple of extra troops. But none of this is a requirement. This is kind of just an optional thing to do just whilst we age up. I'm going to go with Dionysus since we want the Hydras. And we'll grab the pigs and send them off to the temple. We're going to pop all of our villagers onto favour duty in order to pump out Hydras faster. We can also take down the first fortified gate for free, but if we do push in too far, the enemy will react. And build the second temple so we can power out our Hydras once we hit age 3. So we're going to be attacking the enemy so fast this mission that the enemy won't even have time to attack us. So you want to grab the Hydra upgrade, and we also want to grab at least 3 Hydras before we push out. A couple of reasons why. One, we want to grab the extra heads on the Hydras, and 2, the enemy has a whole bunch of cavalry that we want to take care of before we can actually even get to the fortress. We can reallocate some of our resources. But now we've got our 3 Hydras, we can push into the enemy base. As soon as we attack this wall or gate, then we are going to trigger the enemy's cavalry to attack us. And as soon as they get within range, you want to drop the bronze god power to basically increase our survivability, namely for the Hydras. This whole strategy is entirely Hydra focused. Almost nothing else matters other than the Hydras. And I guess Arcantos with his buff ability. Another reason why we're going for Hydras here is because they are insanely good at taking down buildings. And speed is of the essence. Once we actually weaken the fortress, Cersei will appear, and she does an inordinate amount of damage to myth units. So we need to be able to destroy the fortress quickly. Now we're going to focus down the stables since the enemy produce cavalry at a significant rate. And we don't want any distractions, so just taking down these stables for free is a is a good strategy, in my opinion. So this is where the first enemy attack would otherwise hit, but we're going to be done with this mission before they even get to our base, so we literally just right click on the fortress. As soon as we're getting close to taking it down, we can pop the Restoration God Power, and then we want to drop Lightning Bolt directly on Cersei.
You'll pay for your insolence.
Upon spawning, and that's it. GG, boys.
No,